Well, hey, folks. This is Restita of Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio, and we are live right now with our Sunday brunch show. So, we're not on for another 10 minutes, but as you know, we normally air every third Sunday at 11 for a Sunday brunch show, as opposed to 6 p.m. on Sundays, mainly because I have a bullwhip meetup group at a local circus school out here in Seattle, and I have to do those classes. So every third Sunday, we do a Sunday brunch show. So grab some coffee. I've got mine. Grab some coffee, grab some tea, grab something to eat or whatever, and we're going to get started in about 10 minutes. Now, our phone lines are going to open at about 11:30 Pacific time, give or take 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how our first segment goes. But yeah, kind of weird. We haven't done a Sunday brunch show in quite a while. So, well, let's do this real quick. I need to get on to Blog Talk Radio here, so that way we can actually get my co-host Bob Deal on the line with us. So let me get connected to my studio board here. How's everyone doing today?
Start your show now. Press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2.
Okay.
Your show is scheduled to start in 9 minutes, 21 seconds.
9 minutes and 21 seconds. So I just need to get my phone
9 minutes until showtime.
Booted up here. There we go. Now let's call Bob. Let's get him on the line so that way he can join us. I'm hungry, and I just had breakfast not too long ago. You guys are in the green room right now, so we're not on the air yet. So, welcome to Dynamic Dojo Talk TV today, folks. Sunday brunch show. Come on, Bob, answer the damn phone. Come on, Bob. What's going on? Answer the phone, Bob. What's going on?
8 minutes until showtime.
Why isn't he answering his phone? All right. Well, we're going to try that again here in a little bit. So we've got my sister Marcy watching. Hey, Janie, our loyal listener, can only watch for a little bit because she's got to work. Get to work, lady. John Lupo's also watching, and he says, I could be doing better. Oh, John, what's up, man? What's up? You doing okay? And Robbie Lee. Robbie says, good morning, sweetness. Don't forget your pastries. Hi, Robbie. How you doing, honey? Thanks for listening or watching. And Holly Thompson's watching, and my friend from the other side of the pond, Andrew Osborne, is watching also. Hi, Andrew. How are you? Robbie's sleeping on the job. Hi, Andrew. All right, let's try Bob again. I'm going to have to text him or something. Answer the phone, Bob. I just texted him. Answer the phone.
Hey, hello.
Oh, hey. Hi.
Hold on a second.
Okay. All right.
I just connected my headset.
Oh, did you? Okay. All right. Well, Bob is on the line with us, so we've got my esteemed co-host.
Minutes until showtime.
So, how you doing, by the way, Bob?
Good. I was exhausted.
I'm gonna blame the Mercury retrograde. At least that's what I'm blaming it on. That's what I'm blaming it on. I don't know. I've just been tired. I've been tired this whole week. No matter how much sleep or how little sleep or how much, I've just been tired. So, kind of sucks. But everyone out there that's listening, if Bob or I fall asleep during the show, just, rattle our cages a little bit. But a little bit later, after our first segment, we are going to be talking a little bit about test procedures, rank tests, and stuff like that. How does it go at your dojo? And this subject was actually a good one that we've never did, and this is Bob's idea. So
5 minutes until showtime.
So let's give a whoop whoop for Bob, like right there. Give a like down in the comments below. Give a whoop whoop or a hands up for Bob. Let's see how many likes we're getting. Let's see how many likes we're getting here. This video has no sound. Why? Anyway, whoop whoop for Bob, because it's like me. Look at all those loves and likes and stuff like that. You got a bunch of loves and likes there, Bob. Let's get some more. Let's get some more. Because sometimes, this week has just been crazy. Field trips all week at the school I work at and stuff like that. And hey, Amanda's watching. I'll see you in a few hours, Amanda. So this is why we're having a Sunday brunch show, because I have a whip class to teach a little bit later. And by the way, Amanda, there's going to probably be about 3 new people showing up. 4
minutes until showtime.
That's going to be a fun one. So I'll find you somehow over at the circus school there, Amanda. Doc Lyman is also watching us today. Same with Rick Harrison. And yeah. Oh, and Andrew says, I'm good, thanks, because I asked him how he was doing a little bit later. What time is it over there in the UK there, Andrew? Anyway. Okay. Andrew Osborne, he writes, whoop, whoop. You got a whoop, whoop there, Bob. You whoop, whoop. Oh, my goodness. James Stacy is also watching us too. I got my other screen over here so I can monitor who's on and stuff like that. Matt Stone, how you doing, Matt? How you doing, brother? We got 3 minutes and 11 seconds until we go on. Well, actually 3:22 according to you guys.
3 minutes until showtime.
But on my clock, it's 3 minutes because I think we're about 15 seconds delayed. So what you guys are seeing is in the past. Did I just blow your mind or what? It's in me and Bob's past, what you guys are seeing right now. Anyway, Tom Dwyer's watching. How you doing? Dwight Hawley's watching. Mohammed Hati is watching. And who else is watching? Yeah, lots of great people watching there. All right, so anyway, Bob brought up the subject of rank tests and procedures and stuff because, there are questions like, does a black belt test have to be, 12 hours? Wow, blow that nose a little more, buddy. Oh, I know, man. I have it too over here. Everything's starting to bloom over here, so I'm not doing so well as far as the allergy thing is going. Garrett Collins is watching. Bernd Baumhofer is watching. And Andrew says it's just coming up on 6 o'clock over here in the UK. So anyway, there are questions like, does a black belt test have to be, 2 days long? And does it have to be, physical grueling torture? Can you bring other black belts on your testing panel, even though they're not from your style? I know a lot of people that do that, basically for the third party opinion, right? Non-biased third party opinion. I think it's great. Some people say, nope, you got to have people from your own style. So, however that works, and we're going to be interested in seeing how you guys do it at your dojo.
1 minute until showtime.
John Lupo says, if you're having allergy problems, you should take a teaspoon of local honey every day. I heard about that. It does something cool with your throat or something and prevents the junk from sticking. Andrea Harkins is also watching. And thank you, Andrea, for that cool article about testing. Andrea wrote a wonderful article about rank testing, the wonderful world of rank testing. And we're going to be referring to that article a little bit later. James Wilson is also watching. So we've got about 30 seconds until we air, folks. So just write down our phone number, 347-677-0699, because we want to hear from you a little bit later. Otherwise, you can just type in the comments below, and I'm going to try my best, and Bob also, if he's monitoring on his phone. We're going to try to get to those comments as much as we can today. For me, being on the studio, I'm on two studios. I'm on
Your
Blog
show
Talk.
will go live in 5 seconds.
Well, two
4,
studios. Anyway, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Dynamic Dojo Show with Christina and Robert, your source for martial arts talk radio.
3, 2, 1, we're live.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Dynamic Dojo Talk TV with Restita and Robert. It is the 18th of March, 2018. And as always, Bob and I strive to bring great subjects and guests to the show. This is our Sunday brunch show. Every third Sunday of the month, we actually air at 11 a.m. on Sunday as opposed to 6 p.m. like we normally do. And so grab a cup of coffee, just spilled some. Damn it. Grab some coffee or some tea, grab something to eat, grab some pastries or cookies or whatever, sit back, relax, and join us because we're going to be talking about rank tests and procedures. How does it go at your dojo? Bob and I have some questions in regards to rank tests and ranking procedures and requirements and stuff like that. But as always, my co-host Bob Deal is at my side. Well, actually, he's on the other line, but it's still at my side. How you doing, Bob?
Good. You're breaking up really bad this morning.
That sucks. Let's see. Let me see if I have anything on else on Wi-Fi. Nope. How do I sound, folks? Am I breaking up? Janie just called me a coffee abuser. Janie just called me a coffee abuser. It abused me. It spilled. I went doink and yeah. Anyway, Robbie's going to send me cyber pastries. Thank you. How's it going down there in sunny Burbank?
Good. Last night as an Uber driver, I was really busy because of St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I drove my first person to the Irish pub at 6:15 yesterday morning.
In the morning?
Talk about it. Yeah, in the morning. They were going down for breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so they say they're gonna, yeah. It's a good way to start off the day with a Bloody Mary.
Well, they're gonna have some coffee with their breakfast. Just add a little whiskey in it. That's all.
That's right.
And then, today's the LA Marathon. Actually, it's over by now. I gave a couple guys a ride to the bus this morning to take them to Dodger Stadium where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
First guy I picked up was what they call a legacy runner.
A legacy
runner. He has a shirt and
runner.
everything.
Huh.
He has run every single LA Marathon.
Wow.
Yeah, he's about 55 to 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Been married for 38 years, and he's run every one. This is his 30. I guess it's been around for 33 years now.
Holy moly! Ran every one. That's saying something.
Every single marathon, and he lives in Albuquerque.
wait.
So he has,
He has to
here.
come over there. He has to drive over there. Wow. pretty.
No, he flew.
Oh, he flew.
And
Okay.
he stayed at a hotel. Now, what was interesting was that he usually stays with his sister-in-law.
Uh-huh.
And he told me that's no longer an option because he's divorcing his wife.
Oops. Awkward.
So her sister won't allow him in her house anymore.
Oh. Isn't that amazing how stuff like that works? Everyone's a big happy family until you get a divorce, and then the family members, all of a sudden like treat you like you're the plague. Yeah, go figure. Yeah. or
Absolutely. Well, in their eyes, you are.
Yeah. Or you get a divorce or something like that, and your ex won't stop hounding your family members for information under the premise of, I just want to keep in touch. Anyway.
There you go.
Tom Dwyer, basically they turned into stalkers. Tom Dwyer's watching. He said, the 6 in the morning start. What a bunch of rock stars. We've got Kareem Taekwondo Master watching. We've got Andrew Kodger watching. Taoshin Yi Wuhan is also watching. Hey, we got Grandmaster Tony Collins watching also. There we go. Every time I say that, I feel like I'm announcing people for ICU2 TV. ICU2 TV. Let's see how many Seattleites are watching right now. If you guys know what that is, give me some likes. ICU2 TV. If you guys know what that is and you're local to Seattle, yeah, give me some likes. Anyway, everyone's going, what the hell is ICU2 TV? I'll tell everyone because there's no Seattleites that are watching right now. We had a TV show, a kids TV show over here, kind of like Captain Kangaroo, but it was JP Patches. JP Patches was this guy that lived at the city dump, and he had this shack at the city dump, and it was all based on funny stuff like that. And he had a sidekick named Gertrude and stuff like that. And every day, JP Patches would look into his ICU2 TV and announce birthdays of all the kids out there. And every summer, I would listen intently to see if my name was announced. So anyway, we've got Grandmaster Daryl Sargent watching
down
also.
Here, that was like Hobo Kelly down here.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Because
Remember
JP Patches.
Kelly?
Yeah. I don't know Hobo Kelly, but JP Patches was a hobo kind of character. He wore like patched up clothes, hence JP Patches. I think his full name was Julius Pierpoint Patches. And he was the mayor of the city dump. But he always had like cool guests that came on that taught kids about, stuff like, well, how does garbage collection work? And they visited, places to teach kids about how stuff works and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Ralph Paris is watching, and Tony Collins, he goes, I do too, announcing His Majesty. Okay. We got Heather Hansen watching also. John Hedgespeth is watching also. So anyway, tune in a little bit later because we're going to be talking about rank tests, rank procedures. How does it go at your dojo or Kwon or Dojang? We're just kind of curious as to how that works at your place. So anyway, I think it's gonna rain. Bob, I was like, I think I'm gonna have enough time to mow my lawn after the show before I have to go teach my whip class or whatever. And I bought an electric lawnmower at the hardware store down the road, online, and I can go pick it up now because my order's ready. But it looks like it's starting to rain, so I'm kind of pissed off about that.
Nice.
Seattle weather, not as nice and predictable as Burbank. But anyway, let's get on with the show, brother. let's go ahead and get moving. Unless you have any other pre-show announcements. Other than that, I guess we can get on to birthdays. Who do you have for birthdays there, Bob?
Well, birthdays, I have on the 21st, I have Bob White, Grandmaster Bob White from the Kempo system.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea Harking.
Yay!
Her birthday's on the 21st. And Stephen Spidey Morris, his birthday's also on the 21st. On the 22nd is Grandmaster John Painter.
Yay.
And on the 24th is Jeff Bihar and our buddy Matthew Ziff.
Nice. Awesome. Robbie Lee says, use a hairdryer on your grass. Okay, I've got a few birthdays. I don't remember if you said Clay Worley. Did you say Clay Worley? No, okay. So on the 18th, that's today. That's today. Clay Worley is having his birthday today. Same with Nancy Lucero, Nathan Prestwich, and Antone Blair. On the 8th, why did I say the 18th? Anyway, tomorrow, I think that's the 19th, we got Kurt Doyle and Terry Neal. On the 20th, Scott Irie. On the 21st, Kimi Mojica. And on the 23rd, we have Josephine Del Mar, Anthony Delanges, Molly Wolf, Eric Kovaleski, and Marianne Delgado. And on the 24th, we've got Steve Wessels. So for everybody having a birthday the week of the 18th through the 24th, this tune's for you.
I hope you have a happy birthday, a super extra special day. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. May all your dreams come true today. 'Cause you're really one in a million, and you mean the world to me. There's no one sweeter than you to wish a happy birthday to. I hope you have a happy birthday and a truly wonderful year. Filled with all the joy that you deserve and all the things that you hold dear. 'Cause you're really something special and you've totally rocked my world. There's no one sweeter than you to wish a happy birthday to. To wish a happy birthday to. Wish a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I wanna wish a happy birthday to you. I hope you have a happy birthday, a super extra special day. I wanna wish you happy birthday. May all your dreams come true today. 'Cause you're really one in a million, and you mean the world to me. There's no one sweeter than you to wish a happy birthday to. There's no one sweeter than you to wish a happy birthday to. To wish a happy birthday to.
Well, that tune got me kind of dancing in my seat. It's kind of happy, isn't it? Kind of happy. So happy birthday to everyone having a birthday between the 18th and 24th of this month. Make it a great birthday week, everybody. All right. Well, let's get moving on to our announcements. So, Bob, tell us about what's going on next weekend. There's only a few more days, only one more week. It's going to be fun.
Only a few more days.
That's
yes,
right.
Next weekend we are having a telethon for the Martial Arts History Museum, and I just opened up the schedule. It's going to be we've got some things happening that are actually pretty cool, and I still don't know how they fell upon me. We still have some spots to fill. But the schedule goes as follows. On Saturday the 24th at 11 a.m. when it starts, we have the introduction and invocation and special edition. We have a opening lion dance ceremony, which is going to be really cool.
Yay.
That's going to be awesome. Then 11:30, Michael's going to give a museum tour at noon. Ristita's going to do a Tai Chi form. 12:30, her and I, Rusty and I, are going to do a demonstration. At 1 o'clock, Kathy Long is going to be doing a kickboxing demonstration. At 1:30, we're going to talk to one of our dear friends from the museum, Mr. Roger Lowe, which is an actor, a martial artist, and a very accomplished drummer. At 2 o'clock, everybody's favorite all-girl band, Temperamental,
I love
is
them.
going to be performing.
They're so
They
cool.
were great. And Michael likes them, and he's not into their kind of music per se, but they were an outstanding band.
Yeah.
Except, okay, I got to say, and I said this during the telethon, I was a little bit disappointed when the lead singer said, we're going to sing some classic rock, and then said Radiohead.
Well, I guess according to them,
That is to them.
it is.
That's just
Yeah,
not to us.
it is to them. Yeah. Before we move on, I just want to give a wave to Bernard Witcher over there in the UK. So we got 2 people listening from the UK, all over the world. If you like what you're listening to,
Oh, nice.
yeah, if you like what you're listening to, folks, please share. Because we couldn't do this show without you guys. We don't get paid for this. We just do it because we love martial arts and we like bringing the community together. And we'd like to expand this community worldwide. So if you like what you're seeing, if you like the subjects, if you like the show and stuff like that, heck, if you like any one of us, go ahead and give this show a share. All right, let's get back to the telethon.
Okay. So, after Temperamental, at 3 o'clock, we have Michelle Manu that's going to be doing a Lua demo and history on Lua.
Nice.
At 3:30, we're going to have Daniel Bruce Kelly, and he's a step dancer and is supposed to be amazing.
Nice.
From 4 to 5, we're having Vince Cesare is going to give a little bit of comic relief. He's going to be doing Jiu-Jitsu, Sanukis-Ryu, along with Little Common, along with a couple of his students, which are going to talk to us just like they did in December.
Mm-hmm.
John and John, the 2 Johns. I don't have any names for the next segment yet, but from 5 to 7, we've reserved it for the comedy section. We have somebody working on getting us a group of comics, which will be very cool, like they do every year. 7:30 to 8, it's going to be Frank Marquez and his Knights. They're going to do a martial arts demo for us. At 8:15, it's going to be Lady Reed. She's going to do a Tang Soo Do demo.
Nice.
Then we have nobody from 8:45 to 10:15. But from 10:30 to 11:15, we're going to have Robert Dixon. He's going to do his Elvis tribute.
Nice.
Then at 11:45, we're going to go over a little bit, as we're supposed to end at 12. We're going to go over probably to 12:10 or so. We're going to have Joel Ward, which was on our first telethon over a year ago.
Yeah, he was
just this fabulous magician.
Yeah, he
did
is
some
cool.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, he's
he was
cool.
Just incredible. So then we go to 11 a.m. on Sunday, our second day. We're going to do a recap of day 1. Then at 11:30, we're going to have William Christopher Ford do a weapons demo, and he's going to bring a couple students with him to do a Ford's demo. Right after, we're going to do an interview with one of the true icons of the martial arts, the ultimate bad guy in the movies, Gerald
Dun, dun,
Akamura.
dun. Nice.
At noon, we're going to spotlight the younger generation. You know, what it means to them or what it doesn't mean to them if we don't have this kind of museum around.
Right. Exactly.
Then we have Tim Becker doing a JKD demo at 12:30.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
1 o'clock, we have Felix Rolez doing a Screama demo.
Nice.
At 1:30, which is going to be very cool. My wife loves this band. We're going to have Tess and the Troubadours, and they're going to be doing an acoustic musical set.
Nice.
And that's going to be awesome. At 2:30, we're going to have Kathy Long's going to be doing a Kung Fu Sansu demo.
Whoop, whoop.
At 3 o'clock, we have Norco Taekwondo. At 3:30, we have America's Abasamas. He's going to be doing a sumo demo.
Woo, yay.
At 4 o'clock, we're going to be doing a martial arts.
What?
At 4.
Say that again?
4:30, we're going to be doing what?
The previous sentence,
4
because you
o'clock,
cut out. Yeah.
We're going to be doing an interview with two legends of the martial arts, Carl Todd and Douglas Wong.
Ooh, nice.
At 4:30, we're going to be doing a tribute to a friend of ours that we lost 1 week after our telethon in December. That was the last time I saw him, was at that telethon. So we're going to be doing a tribute to Jerry Lem. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a very funny girl. Very funny. She was with us last time. And actually, she was the only person who's ever performed at one of our telethons and just hung out with us until the end of the night, until midnight. And she went on at like 6:30.
Right.
And that's Mansi Mihar.
Oh, she's funny.
Mansi Mihar, sorry.
She's funny.
And then to close it out, we're going to have Apache knife demonstration, Apache knife fighting by Robert Redfeather, and then we're going to have our closing. So it does seem, even though we do have a few patches available, it is a pretty full schedule. But we have some big patches available we have to fill pretty quickly. We have weeks to do it. So, and there you have it. That is our schedule for next week. My wife is actually out right now getting food donations.
Nice.
A couple food donations that have come through is that Thai Room restaurant here in Burbank has, I forget, what did they donate last time? Wontons or rangoon? I forget what they
Something.
donated.
I think it was like crab
whole platter.
rangoon.
It was something. But it was very good.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it again. Century Dragon's thinking about donating. Tequila's Mexican restaurant's thinking about donating.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is out right now trying to collect more.
Nice.
And she always does a fabulous job, which is really funny because our first telethon, Michael, which is a great guy, great martial artist, but my wife knows how to do things a lot of people don't know how to do.
Right.
And Michael was being a doubting Thomas. He would always say, we're not going to get donations. We're not going to get this. We're not going to get that. And we showed up with, and he says, and he looks at my wife and says, you got to teach me how to do that.
I was going to say that's because he's never done that, or he doesn't, or maybe he didn't think that the museum was important enough for people to donate to, or whatever. But it is.
Well,
you know.
See, the thing is, he's tried.
It's all about the approach.
And Jenny just has the contacts and did a wonderful job with it. And of course, and I keep telling her, if you don't want more responsibility, don't do such a good job. Because the other night, Michael and her were talking on the phone, and she is now running the stage at Dragon Fest.
What?
Getting people on, making sure people are there.
Oh, so she is the stage manager. Sweet.
Yes, she is the official stage manager. She's going to get him to do something I've never done before. He has never offered us, as much as we've done, he's never offered to have us wear one of those cool martial arts history museum kimonos.
Yeah, I'm like,
she's going to get wear one.
You know, and I think, and I'm kind of jealous too, but we have enough on our plate doing all the broadcasting and the interviews and stuff like that. We're gonna be hitting the ground running when that telethon starts. It's gonna be that's enough to worry about. So it's kind of like, whew,
yeah, it's gonna be very cool.
You know, and it'll be yay for Jen. Well, that's awesome.
And of course, I was telling you this the other day, and you confused the telethon with Dragon Fest.
Yep, I did. I was like, you know, and tell them the story, Bob. Tell them the story.
Like, what are we going to be doing?
Tell them the story. I'm like, what are we going to be doing? What's going on? And he's like, you're confusing Dragon Fest with the telethon, aren't you? And I thought about it, and I went, oh, yeah, I guess I am. Because, you know, a museum event is the museum event. The only thing that changes, really, is the name. So
and the venue
where
it is, that's it.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that changes, and Bob and I just come and do our thing, do our broadcast thing, and that's about it. So we've got a bunch of other people that joined us. We have Lindsay Mantua that joined us. Kathy Long's watching, and hey, how come it's not? Andrew Chin is watching. That's weird. Bob Robinson is watching, and it's not showing me all the comments. Boo. So that way I can't see who's actually all just joined up. Bernard Witcher, yeah, is and who else? Bill Boggs is watching also. He's a great pyrotechnic artist and film stunts, pyrotechnics, anything that involves like explosions and fire and all sorts of cool stunts in the movies and stuff. He's the man.
So, okay, let me get this straight. He's a legalized he's a professional pyromaniac.
That's right. Well, that's just one of his specialties. I mean, he does all sorts of great stuff for movies and stuff like that. But he's the man. He's the man. So how you doing there, Bill?
Cool.
Denise Buxton is watching. Same with Pete Rife. Pete, bruh, how you doing? What you cooking today, man? Anyway.
I want some.
I know. Bring it over, man. Bring it over. All right. So, yeah, looks like it's going to be a fun-filled weekend. So, I'm going to be flying in on Thursday.
By the way, Rusty, I got something to tell you.
What's that?
I had to take a call while you were doing your birthday.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I didn't know. I've never taken a call. I've been doing the show.
Right.
So I've got this great guy. My brakes are shot, right?
Right.
I had to go out and buy new rotors and new pads. This guy's gonna replace my rotors and pads for $40 and a 6-pack of beer. What? Yeah.
I've got my Scooby ears up. What? I think I paid like $300 something for rotors and brakes, and well, I had to get a master cylinder also, but yeah. So I was like, "What?" My ears perked up.
Now I paid $140 for my brakes and rotors, so it'll be a total of $200. When typically it's about $350.
Exactly. Well, right on. That's really cool to have friends like that. That they'll just say, just feed me and give me a 6-pack of beer or something, right? And $40 for gas or whatever, right? That's badass.
I know, isn't it? Now I'm going right after the show. I'm going over to his house. He's going to do it for me, and I'm not driving again.
Okay, there you go. And I'm going to go get a lawnmower.
Okay.
And see if I can actually do a little, at least my front lawn. You know, the part that people see. Tom goes, breaks for beer. Hey, Tom Peebles is watching. Tom, he's a Dos Pares brother and classmate of mine. How you doing, Tom? And breaks for beer, Tom Dwyer. So we got Tom Peebles and Tom Dwyer. So there you go. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's get on to the show. So today, in lieu of health news, I just want to try something different because, sometimes I'll just be driving along and I get like these random stupid thoughts. And we've done this before.
Oh my God, you're like me.
Yeah, but we've done this before, but it's been a long time. So for today, we're gonna do Rusty's random thoughts. All right. So random.
I was just reading it and I started laughing.
I know. Okay, so have you guys ever wondered why the hell does the word lisp have an S in it? What the hell is that for?
I know.
Why? All right. Okay. So I don't know. Have you guys ever wondered that? Why the hell does the word lisp have an S in it? All right. And my second random thought is, okay, and this sounds really weird. No judging, folks. So why is a W called a double U? Shouldn't it be a double V? Just saying. Just saying. Matt Stone is watching. He goes, lisp, lisp. And stop saying lisp. Well, I fit. Now, the third one I had, and this was on accident. I forgot what I was reading or whatever, and I turned to my phone, and I realized that the word swims is the same word upside down. So things that make you go.
Wow, I have never realized that.
Everyone's writing it down now. Everyone's Googling the word swims and turning their phone upside down. Well, you got to turn off the automatic
I
flip.
just did because it's on my notes. I turned my phone upside down. Well, shit, there it is.
That's right. And Pete says, say lisp, lips 10 times quickly. Lisp, lips, lips, lips. Okay. Only if you get online with us and you do it, Pete. Matt goes, you spend a lot of time in traffic, don't you? Yeah, Matt, I do. It's Seattle, man. It's like turning into LA. Don't let that sway you from moving back home here, Matt. Don't let that sway you. Come back home, buddy. Anyway, woo, lisp, lips. Yeah, whatever. All right. So there you go. That's some of the weird shit that goes through Rusty's head. So with that said, let's move on to Bob's Weird News. All right. What do we got for weird news?
I do have to say, though, that with all that shit running around and through your head, you forget stuff, too, at the same time, like we always do.
Uh-oh, what did I forget?
So, let's talk about Dragon Fest.
Oh! I'm an idiot. Okay, but... You idiot! You idiot! Okay. Let's talk about Dragon Fest.
Okay, Dragon Fest is last weekend in August.
Yay.
The 25th and 6th of August at the Pickwick Gardens here in Burbank. It's at 1001 Riverside Drive, Burbank 91506. First day is going to be the convention. It's going to be all the vendors. I'm sure James Wilson's going to be setting up his traditions booth, and we're going to have a booth, and Jenny's going to be the stage manager, and Felix Rollins is going to be there. We've got, like 100 more booths than we did last year.
Oh, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be very cool.
It's huge. Then the next day they're going to have the seminar day. We're going to have Don Wilson and Benedict Jeter-Quitas. We're going to have a bunch of people, a bunch of top martial artists teaching seminars. And each day is $30. $30 for convention, $30 for seminars. Now think about that. That is $5 per seminar with some of the greatest in the world.
That's right. It's going to be cool.
It's just going to be an amazing time. Michael's starting to post hotels now on the website because there's a bunch of hotels. And and Michael's working on getting grants for it, and he might have gotten one, UFC grant, City of Burbank grant, and one from the Japanese Cultural Center. So it's going to be a good time. We're going to really enjoy it.
It'll be cool.
All come out for Dragon Fest. We know Janie's going to be there from Kentucky. It's going to be a great time. We're all going to have fun.
Yes, it'll be awesome. All right. It's funny. It's like I was trying to find a graphic for Dragon Fest, and after I finally found one, we're done with that announcement. That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on for next week. I just gotta find it here. Where did it go? Oh, that's Dragon Fest 2017. I don't want that one. What happened to Dragon Fest 2018? I lost it. Oh well. So much for that idea. Okie dokie. So I guess now we're at the weird news, right? So let's try this again.
Now it's weird news.
It's weird news. Here we go. Take two.
Weird news.
All right. What do we got for the weird news?
Now, this is something a friend of mine asked me a long time ago when I first started driving for Lyft. He says, do you ever think that somebody will use Lyft or Uber in your services for a crime, holding up a liquor store or something like that? I do think that somebody did a drug deal at like 4 in the morning. So I gave him a really low rating so I'd never have to see him again. But this was funny because police say a 19-year-old Indiana man took a cab to and from, get this, a bank robbery.
Wait. What? Okay. Can't wait to hear this story.
And then he paid the cab driver with some of the stolen cash.
You dumbass.
What a dumbass. I mean,
you dumbass.
Derek Maria, he was arrested less than an hour after Thursday's robbery of a Third Bank branch in Evansville. The Evansville Courier and Press reports that Faria reportedly passed a teller a note demanding money, but that he didn't show a weapon. Faria is being held at Vandenberg County Jail on preliminary charges of robbery and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court records show that Faria hadn't been formally charged as of Friday morning. They didn't list an attorney on him. Can you imagine?
Yeah, he's a dumbass.
Doesn't have a weapon.
Dumbass.
Just passed a note, and now it's on record where this dumbass lives.
You dumbass. You dumbass.
Oh my God. Stupid people. And that is my weird news for the week, then that definitely classifies.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on to our entertainment news. What do we got for entertainment?
Okay, so O.J. Simpson is insisting his If I Did It TV special was not a confession to murder, and says the people on the show
Oh my
were
God.
all a bunch of haters. I know.
Now he's
this is
whining.
never ending.
Now
This
he's
is from the
whining.
90s.
Oh my God! Now he's whining.
Yeah,
why
now
you
he's
all
whining,
making?
right?
Why you all making me out to be a killer? Me. Whatever.
Oh, yeah, it was bad enough when he had to start playing public golf courses. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Okay.
OJ.
Simpson gave his first sit-down interview since leaving prison to the Buffalo News and gave his own take on O.J. Simpson, the Lost Confession. When people want to make money or get ratings, they're going to pimp me. I'm going to get pimped. Oh, please.
Oh, don't make yourself. Can you make yourself any more important there, OJ? Can you?
Yeah, right?
Jeez.
Simpson says his friends had been teasing him about the show and whether or not it was a real confession. Listen, if I confessed 12 years ago, you would have heard about it 12 years ago. When asked if he's watched the Fox special, Simpson replied, I watched nothing of me. So if he's on TV or any specials, he probably didn't see that one where who was it that played Simpson? Coolidge Gooding Jr.
Something like
on
that.
a special, on an unauthorized thing, and yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and there is my entertainment news for the week.
All right. well, let's do this, folks. We're running about 20 minutes behind. But why don't we go ahead and take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about rank tests and rank requirements and stuff like that. We want to know how it's done at your school. Our phone number is 347-677-0699, or you can just start typing really fast down in the comments below. But it's always fun to talk to you guys. 347-677-0699. We're going to open the phone lines after the break. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back after this.
High school is a time for figuring things out, like finding the square root of x when your ex won't stop texting you, or how to write an essay on 12th night, the night before it's due. It's about making friends and making memories. It's about deciding where you fit, where you stand, and what you simply won't stand for. Long after class is dismissed, after you've left the hall and moved on with life, after you've forgotten all the answers to all the tests, you'll remember the day you figured out the kind of person you were going to be. Stand up for someone being bullied, and they'll never forget you. Stand up to bullying.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Heart Truth is a campaign sponsored by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute to raise awareness about heart health. One thing that everyone can do to support heart health is to get moving. Health and fitness expert Dr. Pamela Peak says that small steps can lead to big benefits.
Throughout the day, just get up and move more. Park your car in the farthest parking spot. Find any excuse to walk as you live your busy life. The key to heart health is regular physical activity and a balanced diet. I help get my patients educated and motivated to stay active every single day. That's why I'm behind the Heart Truth campaign and those who partner with it, like Diet Coke. Join them this month as they work to educate, inspire, and motivate by visiting dietcoke.com/hearttruth.
Inside this little Burbank building.
This is the first museum in the world dedicated to martial arts.
It really reflects on the style and the philosophy of each and every different culture.
White eyebrow kung fu, monkey kung fu, the animal styles, Shaolin.
Talking about the ninja here.
Japan had the samurai.
Here we go into our Korean section.
In fact, every corner of Asia and the Pacific has its own martial art.
It'll be an absolute shame if one day you ask a kid and he doesn't know who Bruce Lee is.
From the history of the Japanese samurai to the artistry of anime, enjoy a look into Asian culture by visiting the Martial Arts History Museum in Burbank.
Hi, this is Frank Dukes. This is Tito Douglas Wong.
Hi, this is Kuulua Michelle Manu, and you're listening to Rosita and Bob on the Dynamic Dojo Radio Show.
The only place to be to get the real scoop on the real things that are going on in the martial arts world.
Do you have an idea for a guest or a topic that you'd like to hear on the Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio Show? If you do, you can email your suggestions and ideas to dynamicdojoradiohost@gmail.com, or you can also post it on the Dynamic Dojo Facebook page.
You're listening to the Dynamic Dojo Show with Christina and Robert, your source for martial arts talk radio.
Hey, hey, hey. And we are and we are trying to clear my throat. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens? Anyway, this is Dynamic Dojo Talk TV. Dynamic Dojo Talk TV with Rusty and Bob. And today we are going to open the phone lines. Our phone number is 347-677-0699, and we're talking about belt requirements, belt ranking tests, test procedures, and we're curious as to how it goes at your school. Now, before I go to Sifu Bob with this, Matt Stone just wrote in, and he says, my previous school had 5 belts, white, yellow, blue, black, and red, with 3 levels in each. No belt for the first few months you began. No uniform needed either. Kind of sounds like my school. When you took your first test for white belt, that's right, you don't get started with a white belt. You actually have to test for it. You needed your uniform by the time you took your first test, he says. Belts and sashes weren't ranked so much as more of an indication of what you were studying at the school at that time. So current school, no belts, sashes, rank of any kind. There are students, disciples, and teachers. That's it. You know who's who because you can see it in their performance. Amen. Thank you for sharing that. So, like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, Bob actually thought up of this particular subject, and I don't think we've ever talked about it. I mean, we've talked about our own tests and stuff like that, but we've never talked about procedures and requirements and stuff because we're just curious. But Bob, what made you think about this cool subject? I mean, it's a badass subject.
You know, I thought about it because I remember not just that I went through some grueling rank tests when I was growing up, but I've administered them too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wondered, I was talking to my buddy, Sophie Greg Woldridge, and his black belt test was like 2 8-hour days.
Right.
Now, the reason I thought about this was I was thinking, do they really need to be 2 8-hour days? Now, he's got a group of students in Hazeltine Park that you've met and taught for.
Mm-hmm.
And when they test, now they have to adjust it because they're only in the park.
Yeah.
So they can't go through 2 8-hour tests so now they have to adapt to their surroundings.
Right.
So how does that work for everybody? We tested in schools, backyards. I actually, there was one of Greg's students got his nose broke in my backyard. Flat out broke.
Sounds like
with an elbow.
Sounds like a lot of the tests I've been to that I've done.
I remember that very vividly. In fact, my mother was still alive, so it was
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm old. You know what? I just said I'm old, and you said right.
No, I just laughed because I was going to say, you're not that much older than I am. Gee whiz.
Don't make me tell that story again.
Everyone knows that story. I'll go ahead and tell it. So I think it was like the first Masters Hall. Was it the first Masters Hall of Fame or the second? I don't remember.
No, it was the first time you ever stayed with me, so it was the second.
Oh, right. I honestly forgot what we were talking about, but the subject of age came up.
I don't know.
And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, what? You're not that old, right? I mean, you're what, 10 years older than I am? And he had a fit because he's only a couple. I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry, dude. Oops, insert foot, open mouth, insert foot. Hey, April Vidal's watching, Bob. Bob, you there still?
Hey, April.
April's watching.
Yes, I had to mute because I live under a flight path from Burbank Airport.
So
I have
that's
to
right.
shut off I have to mute my phone. Now, you're not under any flight path, are you? From like SeaTac or anything?
Sort of. I mean, it depends on whether or not planes are circling, waiting to land or take off, or waiting to land.
Oh,
but normally
okay.
we don't really hear it all that much because they're already up a little bit high enough from SeaTac, so that way we only hear the, as opposed to the type of noise, right, when they take off. But yeah, we've got Semaj Rilkner watching. Ben Perez is also watching. Tim Kiss is watching. And April, how you doing, girl? Jedokan Martial Arts. Hey, is that Jeff Jed's school? Jedokan Martial Arts? Isn't that Jeff Jed's? I think so. April.
Jedokan is Jeff Jed, yes.
Hi, Jeff. All right, so April J. Vidal, she says, good morning to you both. Today is recital rehearsal. We have junior instructors. No matter what, they show the same respect for each other. They know their place and everyone else knows it too. Tap to see more. I'm trying to. No words spoken, just general respect for each other. The belt, I feel, is about the younger generation having something to look forward to gain a higher rank without bragging or boasting. Thanks for your input there, April. Danny Sanchez is watching, and Janie Larkenmeiser is back on track with watching. Hey, I thought you were at work, Janie. Anyway, so, yeah, I remember being at tests where, people would puke in their gi. People would, end up with broken elbows, broken toes, broken noses, broken ribs, and stuff like that. But, I guess the question is to our viewers out there, at your dojo, do you guys have multi-day tests where it's like physically grueling, almost like a coming of age ceremony for guys or something like that? And does it have to be like that? And if not, what do you look for outside of your general requirements? So, we're curious as to what requirements you look for. Are you looking for a certain amount of kata? Are you looking for self-defense? Are you looking for sparring? Outside of those outside of those obvious requirements, what do you look for? Jeff Jed says, hey, it's Jeff dropping by. Hi, guys. You guys are fantastic. Love you guys. Love you, Jeff. Hope you're doing well. Janie writes, our tests are about 2 or 3 hours. You have to be able to talk about the history of Korea and Taekwondo for at least 20 minutes straight. You will be asked a series of questions ranging from Korean command words. Can't hit the thingy on my screen here. Korean command words to what this technique or that technique is for. Then we spar several people for however long, then escape techniques. Then while you're exhausted, you break boards. The breaking boards usually ends the test. So just curious because I know nothing about Taekwondo. Are people graded on forms, and how do you grade if, like, let's say the forms look really great, but the self-defense demonstrations are subpar? I mean, how do you balance that out? Because that can be a problem too. Wouldn't you say, Bob? Flight path man.
That's absolutely a problem. And I'm curious because Taekwondo is known for their high kicking ability.
Mm-hmm.
But some people just can't do it. They're not stretched enough. They just can't reach that kind of level. Do you still grade them on their height? If they can't get them high, do you downgrade them, or do you grade them on their ability to be able to kick as high as possible, whether it be head, shoulder? Maybe you have somebody that can't kick higher than kneecap.
Yeah.
Are they graded based on their ability or their standards for the style?
That's a good question. Maybe our Taekwondo friends out there can answer that. Because, I knew a gal back in the 90s who was a Taekwondo person, and, she could kick high, and she was very quick and very talented with her legs. But I remember her saying, it's not that you kick people in the head. That's more of a sport thing, right? She said, Taekwondo people, do have strikes too. It's just that, the stereotype is that it's all kicks, and you have to kick at the head, and you have to be able to do these like funky 720, 360 degree, acrobatic kicks and stuff like that. So I just look at Taekwondo as an art. You know how like every martial art, has its particular focus? Like eskrima, for many martial artists that are familiar with eskrima but don't really study it, everyone automatically thinks what? Stick fighting. But they forget the panantukan. They forget about the panantukan and the bangamoy and the sikaran or the dumog or what. They forget about all those empty hand elements because they go stick and blade. Rah, So I'm guessing that it's just a focal point, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Taekwondo. So Janie, chime in, please. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Noel Languban is watching. So is Michael Blackburn. How you doing, Michael? Eve B is watching. And everyone's saying hello to each other. And this is exactly what we like about the show, folks. I'm kind of diverting from the subject a little bit. This is what we like about the show. When we come on the show, everyone gets on the comments and says hello to everyone, wishes each other a great day. And sometimes, they start their own, backdoor conversations and stuff. And so this is what it's all about, folks. It's about coming together and building the community and staying a community instead of all this like my art's better than your art crap and my testing procedures are better than yours. So yeah. No, you brought up a good point, Bob, about well, what if somebody doesn't kick high enough? That was my next question is, well, what about if a school has specific requirements for like kicks or footwork or whatever, how do you grade people with physical limitations or disabilities, right? I'm curious, what does your dojo or dojang or kun or what have you, how does your gym, if you do rank testing, how does your gym grade rank tests if someone's like in a wheelchair or has to use crutches or has any type of limitation that would prevent them or make it difficult to do some of the requirements? Are you not going to grade them because they can't? That's, and it's okay if you don't. We're just curious. Andrew Osborne writes in, and he writes, when I did Wado-ryu karate in the mid-70s, my sensei, Josh Johnson, made us learn about the history of karate. Then once we learned that, we gave a short discussion about it, and knowing certain words when you are just about to perform your very first kata, Then once you learnt your very first kata and performed it smoothly with confidence, our sensei would award us with our white belt. Pretty cool. Janie also writes in, and she writes, we have to go through white to red belt forms, and some form people are great, but self-defense is bad. It depends on the person, but the master is happy with form, and if you are able to explain the technique, then they are usually good. So yeah, but outside of physical requirements, talking about people with physical limitations and handicaps or what have you, what are some things outside of those requirements that you look for? Well, Jeff Jeds writes in, and he writes, first, the right attitude. Amen. Then academics, and then the physical part. Lastly, the students must display their skills based on their age, physical capabilities, weight, and height. We cannot test everyone the same way with the same curriculum because of our differences. And there you go. Thank you. Amen. We got Mags Hefferman watching also. Hi, Mags. So, what about you? When you were teaching, or when Greg Wooldridge was teaching, did you guys have any people with physical limitations or anything like that? And if so, how did you guys go about teaching them?
Well, that's a good question. And you know how hardcore Greg is.
Right.
He, of course, often is teaching for the kids, which he was very good at.
Mm-hmm.
But, his style, the way he teaches, is not for everybody. It's not for kids.
Right.
So we really didn't have anybody with physical limitations when Greg had his own school, because they would be welcome to come in and watch a class.
Mm-hmm.
When they would come in and watch a class, a lot of them wouldn't be back.
Right.
Because they saw how physically demanding it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Greg would have changed it given the opportunity, and I'm sure he's been given the opportunity prior. Now, with that said, my Jeet Kune Do instructor, Mark Stewart, did teach Chi-Sao at the Braille Institute here in Los Angeles.
Perfect.
So he did teach martial arts to sight challenged, if that's the politically correct word nowadays
Mm-hmm.
to use, sight challenged individuals. But he took from his tool bag and used what they would feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And happens to be that they would feel very comfortable with doing some sticky hands.
Nice.
Single and double.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's a perfect
really well.
That's a perfect activity for people with sight limitations and
right.
stuff like that. It's perfect, because isn't that the goal anyway? Right? To not to
right.
be
exactly.
sight challenged, but to have that kind of sensitivity to where your eyes, don't fool you anymore. The other day I was working the Hubud Lubid drill with my people, and I changed the timing on it. I put in a half beat, and it completely messed them up. Right? It's funny because they once they finally got it with empty hand, they couldn't do the same thing with sticks. Go figure. But and I said, don't. What did I say? I said, you have to use your own body as a reference based on, how you're referencing your partner. Because if you try to watch them, you're probably going to automatically try to mirror them, and that's going to mess it up. So don't let your eyes fool you. Learn to feel, right? So, and I'm perfectly aware that it takes it takes a little bit of a learning curve to learn that kind of sensitivity and to learn that type of, don't see with your eyes type of thing. But, I know that in our curriculum, by the time you're in advanced rank, you should be able to have the basic Hubud down. But, what if they can't do that drill? You see what I'm saying? So, this is what people are writing in. They're like, well, if they don't have one element or whatever, can they make it up in another element? You know, so that's kind of another question. Derek Carlton writes in and he says, I look for ethics, morality, and self-confidence. Thank you so much, Derek.
Nice.
Yeah. Lanake Pascubillo is watching.
You know what, Rusty? Mark Stewart was over in Indonesia with a Salat group.
Mm-hmm.
And they're what we would call beginner or white belt training was what they called intention training. Where you would be blindfolded and people would just start swinging at you.
Right.
You would have to feel their intention.
Yeah.
What are they intended to do? And they would start. There were more advanced belts that you could not hit.
Yeah.
And they would be completely sightless.
Yeah. That's a learning curve as well because you have to get out of your head. You have to get out of your head that this is just some weird woo-woo use the force bullshit. You have to get out of your head. And that's the hard part for a lot of people. Now, I remember training like that when I was in karate. We would do very slow circle kumite where everyone would surround you and they would just come in and just start sparring with you at random, right? Well, Sensei would say next, and some random person would come in, and then they'd spar you, and you'd be blindfolded. And now we still have a drill that we call circle drill, where you're in the middle, most times sighted for beginners and intermediate, and people randomly attack you with whatever, kick, punch, baseball bat, knife, whatever, and you're supposed to deal with that from all angles. And for the upper ranks, we blindfold them. And most times, for people that do this drill out there, you know how this goes, right? Most times people will end up just guessing and start pawing at the air, waiting for someone to come in. They're too worried about looking like they know what they're doing as opposed to just relaxing and feeling for that intention. That's a good way of putting it, Bob, the intention drill. Because you know what, folks, it works. If you just open your mind up a little bit and feel for that intention, you'll be able to feel it. But first you have to get out of your head. You have to get out of your head and not look at it as some woo-woo bullshit. Because, it works. It works, in my humble opinion. That's just me. I mean, if you want to use your eyes, that's fine. But I think, that's where the sensitivity training comes in, whether it's Chisao or Hubud or push hands or whatever, sensitivity drill you want to practice. It's all good, and it goes into that intention training. Now, going back to requirements for people that have physical limitations, I've heard several people out here that are adamant about not promoting unless the candidate can show all techniques. So like footwork and kicks and stuff like that. So basically, if you're in a wheelchair and can't kick and can't do the footwork, chances are they're not going to promote you to black belt. And their reasoning behind this is, well, how are they going to be a black belt? How are they going to teach that if they don't have any legs? How are they going to teach that if blah, 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 right? So I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on that. I was livid when I hear these kind of comments. What do you mean? Just because they're in a wheelchair, you're not going to promote them because they can't show the jump kick or whatever. I was livid. But I'm curious as to what everyone else has to say about that. Stephen Hertvelt is watching. Stuart Hicken is watching. John Lupo is back watching with us again. And Raul Ponce is watching. Georges Lemoyne is watching. I completely messed up your name. I'm sorry. Rolando Akabi is watching. How you doing, Rolando? Harold Lindland is also watching. And Lanake Pascobillo Pascobillo, I'm messing up everyone's name, is watching. So thanks for joining us. We got a bunch of people. Introduce yourselves, folks, in the comments section, because these are the people that watch us a lot. Introduce yourselves. Anyway, so okay. Let's take the question over to Bob. So let's just say you were asked to be on a panel, and one or more of the black belt candidates were in a wheelchair or had to use some type of mobility aids like crutches or whatever, and like permanent crutches, so for people with MS or whatever, right, or cerebral palsy. What would you look for, Bob, in their test outside of can they do footwork, can they do kicks or whatever? What would you look for?
Outside of their ability not to perform some of the tasks that are normally given, I would look for their ability to use what they have.
Exactly. Nice.
I've seen guys with crutches that can kick the crap out of a lot of people.
Me too.
What does a crutch represent? A crutch can represent a kick, a ridge hand, number 5 line from Collie, a straight jab, a hook. It can represent a lot, but that is a long-range weapon. That would be like a Largo weapon.
Exactly. Right.
If you just have to judge them on their ability.
Amen.
I mean, one of our guests at the telethon, one of the Johns, I don't know what he has. I think it was cerebral palsy. He couldn't find a wheelchair. That's one of the questions I want to ask Vinny next weekend. Is
I remember him.
How did his test go? Because he just tested.
Yeah, I remember him. He was such a joy to interview last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pete Reif writes in and he goes, bingo. It's on students' self-progress and improvement, not silly dogma. Nobody does everything perfectly. And Andrew Osborne writes in response to my, hearing people saying, I'm not promoting this person because they can't do the footwork. How are they going to teach it if they can't do it, right? If they can't even stand up. Andrew writes, that's wrong, because someone in a wheelchair can compensate that by learning some remarkable techniques to make up for their to make up with a wheelchair for their footwork. Agreed. I mean, in a way, I kind of want to, for people that think that way, I'm not going to promote anyone if they can't show the footwork and blah, 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 right? It's my name on the line, blah, blah, blah. For those people, I kind of want to say, okay, how about you get in a wheelchair and you figure out how to do that kata in a wheelchair. Go ahead. Don't worry. We'll wait.
Now, with that said, Rusty, I have no problem with, I think, if a sensei, sifu, guru, whoever has a student that has a disability, let's have him refine it, and let's have him get in that wheelchair and figure certain things out.
Right.
And figure out how difficult it is to do what they're being asked to do, and why should he or shouldn't he rank this person based on a disability he knows nothing about.
Exactly. I remember, I forget how many years ago, I sat on a panel, and there was talk about promoting someone because of the disability. Now, the disability wasn't like, wheelchair bound or crutch bound or whatever. It was more so developmentally disabled, right? And there was discussion about, well, should we promote because, the stances don't look as strong, or blah, 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 this person's only got one arm, blah, 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 because of clubfoot, it made it hard for this person to do certain things. And they were debating for like 10, 15 minutes whether or not this person should be promoted. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the person that announces their kata louder than anyone else. This is the person that goes out there and says, yes, sensei, at, anything you throw at them, anything. If you said, make up a kata with this clipboard, yes, sensei, would not think twice. And you guys are tripping out about their horse stance isn't low enough. They've only got one arm. What the hell, folks? What the heck?
Well, and Rosie, how many times have you sparred and you've done certain things in sparring that your sensei told you, like, okay, you can only use one arm, you can only use your left leg.
Yeah.
Go.
Exactly. Yeah, I've done classes like that. Yeah, I've done classes like that too, where they'd have to tie one hand behind their back or what have you, right? And okay, now spar. Or okay, now do Kali, now do your Eskrima Sinawali drills. And half the time they can't figure it out with one hand. Then they have to go back to two hands to figure it out. Then they got to try to adjust it in their mind. I'm like, oh, no. Put that stick down. You don't get to cheat. Figure it out in your head. Figure it out. Welcome to the world of people with, one arm or one hand, and hopefully it results in a bit more respect for people's abilities to adapt. Adaptation, I feel, is one of the requirements for black belt in my eyes. It's just it can't be just physical. It just can't. I mean, because why? So anyway, Andrew writes, Janie writes in. Oh, go ahead, bud.
But you yourself have also had these guys. You didn't know if you should promote or not.
Yeah.
To a certain rank because of their age or timing, grade, or whatever. But they're the most talented individuals you've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
And based on that, how could you deny them?
Exactly.
Even with their parents saying they're too young, they're too this, you're going, but look at
this. I know there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, I get it. And we've had these subjects where talking about 10-year-old black belts and and stuff like that. Would you or wouldn't you at your dojo? And some people would say absolutely not. And we've had these discussions before, right? And I'm a believer in that there's always at least one or two exceptions to the rule. To deny, a kid who's obviously talented and is obviously, a wunderkind, very talented and like old soul in a young body, that kind of thing. Very talented, like genius type of kid. To deny them.
Oh yeah. By the way, I hate them all.
But to deny them, rank and say, well, you're going to have to wait another, 8 years. You're never going to see that kid again unless they are that dedicated. And even then, if they're already talented when they're 8 years old and you keep them at brown belt level for 8 years, right? When they get their black belt, their skill would have exponentially improved, just like any adults would. Would that person be promoted to second dan or third dan, depending on the school's requirements? Or are you just going to put them at first dan and count their years as a black belt from that point on? Or you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, what do you do? Now Andrew goes, I
want your own personal opinion.
Sure.
What about invitation to test? Have you ever had somebody say, I'm not ready to test, but you're like, oh, yes, you are. You're going to test. Is that because they are truly ready, or do you want to see them go through a test when they feel they're not ready?
For me, it depends on the individual because I've done both. People don't normally test unless I say they're ready to test, and I'll put their names up on the board and, send out a, formal announcement and invite people and stuff like that. And if they see their name on the board, they either go with it, or they come up to me and they go, I really don't feel I'm ready to test. Right. And if what I see on the training floor makes them ready, when they say I'm not ready to test, it's because of one of two things. Because, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, because, I do charge fees for my test, right? Because we normally hold tests, on days that the school isn't even open, right? I invite other teachers, to come out and sit on the testing panel, even teachers that are not in my martial art, because I want a non-biased, outlook from other people, from other skilled instructors, from other arts, and I kind of want to offer them something for their time, right? Belts have to be made, certificates have to be made, and stuff like that. So when people say I'm not ready to test, it's either because of the fee, which isn't bad at all, or they honestly feel that their skills are not up to par with what they expect that next rank to be. And I have to always, assure them, no, I would not put you on this testing roster if I didn't think you were ready. And I have to remind people that, once you get a new rank, your sights, start looking higher and higher and higher, right? Your sights go, okay, this is my expectation of what this next rank is. And a lot of times for many people, that expectation for the next rank is, damn near perfection, right? And when somebody's training themselves, it's kind of hard to see, your progress. It's kind of like, when you're around kids for so long, you honestly really don't see them grow up until you realize that they're taller than you, in a way, right? You kind of know what I'm talking about. You kind of just don't see the growth because they're around you all the time. Well, you're around yourself all the time, and a lot of times you don't see the growth. Yet your sights on that next rank are so high, and you don't see yourself there. But the last 6 months that you've been training, you've been improving and improving and improving, and your techniques have gotten cleaner and sharper, and you've gotten more fit, and this and that and the other. You don't see that, but that's what your teacher's eyes are for, folks. So
until like you've been teaching so long, your child students that you had years ago now have kids of their own.
That's right. And it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild to have,
Isn't that wild?
Kids that I taught as kids have kids of their own, and those kids are at my school. That's something to wrap my mind around. So Janie writes in, and she writes, people with disabilities are capable. They just have to adjust for an incapability. We promoted one of these great people yesterday. Congratulations on your test yesterday, Janie. Andrew writes, and this is why you should never, ever underestimate anyone with a physical or mental disability. Look at the people who are in the Paralympics. As you can clearly see that they are truly amazing at what they do. And Bernard Witcher writes in, and he writes, I've had the pleasure of teaching Tai Chi and self-defense to many disabled people. Generally, they put more effort into what they do than the able-bodied students.
Yes.
Yes.
How true is that?
Yeah. Derek Carlton. Hi, Derek. Thanks for writing in. Derek writes, martial arts should be based on your individual ability, confidence, ethics, and self-confidence. As instructors of the arts, it's our job to build the students' awareness and to empower them. The methods and the lack thereof should be second. There we go. Kevin Pell is watching. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for watching. Matt Stone also writes in.
Now, Russ, I have a question for you.
What's that?
What do you do? Let's say, because you've had siblings in class, so one of them wants to really be there and one of them doesn't.
Right.
What do you do if obviously somebody may have a disability, let's say ADHD, okay, or something like that, where they're all over the place, they really don't practice, but they're going to test, but failing them on the test is going to absolutely crush them and crush their spirits.
Right.
What do you do?
Well, it depends. It depends on the individual and the rank they're going for. Now, my ranks for the kids usually have 4 stripe levels within each color rank, right? So, for example, in the past, kids with ADHD and ADD, if they meet a requirement, so let's say they meet all the requirements for yellow belt, okay, well then they have 4 stripes to deal with, right? And each stripe, actually, after the second stripe, you actually get a different looking belt. So for example, after yellow belt, if you get your second yellow belt, it's a yellow belt with a black stripe going down the length of it, right? And then any other stripes go on the tip of the belt, right? So anyway, so if they decide that they want to test for the next rank, like orange belt, number one, I have to tell them whether or not they're ready to test for that full rank orange belt, or I tell them that they're ready to test for the next stripe. That way, you know, there's something that they gain, even though it's not the full orange belt. And it's not that they, and it's not like it's not like a baby orange belt or anything. They earned that stripe by learning that form. Now they have, you know, 2 more stripes or 3 more stripes, depending on their stripe rank, to crystallize their skill and to improve their skills, to memorize the movements, you know, rather than just follow. Because I had a lot of kids that can follow really good and they're awesome at following, but for some reason they can't put the moves together by themselves. They've got all that time, you know, and you know, if they fail a test, I don't necessarily say that they fail. I say that we're going to have to try in another 3 months. You know, here's your next stripe. You know, and it usually happens. I've never had any of my special needs kids actually fail. You know, usually they go, usually I'll think, oh, you know, I think he might be ready for yellow, right? And then they just choke. We all choke, right? They choke, and
we all choke.
We all choke,
Absolutely.
and even after repeated chances at a form or to redo a self-defense set or whatever, if they don't make it, then at least they have that next stripe. So, you know, when they come up to get promoted,
now,
go ahead.
With the striping, do you change the curriculum? If, let's say, they're going for a next stripe, is the curriculum different, or is it the same? Just their ability to do the technique may have changed.
The curriculum is the same. It's just that the requirements are broken up into 4 parts.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's broken up into 4 parts. So, for example, you know, for our little kids that are testing for yellow belt, right? Our kids actually start at white belt rather than testing for it, whereas the adults, they have to earn their white belt. But the kids start at white, and then they stripe through that. So once you learn your basics, you get a stripe. Or your hand basics, you get a stripe. Once you have all of your kicks and can remember which kick is which, you get another stripe. When you get all your footwork down, like horse stance walk, your forward stance lunging, your slanted horse to reverse movement, and stuff like that, you get another stripe. And then when you learn at least the first 8 movements of our first form, then you're actually eligible for your first yellow belt. So it's just a straight up yellow belt with 1 stripe on it. That's it. And you know, as they train, they have to earn the rest of the first form. They have to learn the second form, and then they have to learn at least half, but you know, the first form of the next rank is more preferable. Then you have to learn the first form of the next rank to be eligible for your orange belt. So while you're learning, you know, the rest of the first form and you know, crystallizing your skills and stuff like that, you get stripes. And once you get that last bit of the first form, at least 8 moves, okay, you're ready to test. There you go. So, you know, everyone learns the same stuff, you know, in my little kids' classes. It's just that they get promoted when they show an understanding of the forms at that point. Because, you know, it's more of like the forms that are that make people eligible for rank in a way, right? Now, you know, even if they make a mistake, you know, going up for their orange belt or what have you, if they make a mistake and they forget a move, but they keep going through their form and they don't stop and they don't freak out and stuff like that, I'm still going to promote them because they were able to recognize they made a mistake or even forgot a move and just kept going. They didn't like pound themselves in the head and go, oh, damn it, I messed up. Can I start again? They didn't panic, you know. I'll promote them. Now, of course, you know, if you hit like brown belt, black belt, and you're forgetting movements to your forms in every form, I'm gonna have to draw the line and go, dudes. You know, if you're able-bodied and you're forgetting, then I'm gonna have to, like, you know, draw the line there. But it is based on each individual, you know. And for kids with ADD and ADHD, the kids I've taught, they've either quote unquote grew out of it, or they learned techniques through my classes to make it manageable. And for those of you that teach ADD, ADHD kids out there, you know how it works. You know, there has to be a sense of routine that they can get used to. Once they get used to that routine and they know what to expect, then that's when you can tweak things in the routine. But, you know, if you're all over the place, then the ADD, ADHD kid will not thrive as well. But you know what? That same kind of teaching, you know, allows other non-ADD, non-ADHD kids to thrive as well. So there you go. Matt Stone writes in and he writes, the test isn't so much the examination. That came during all the preceding months in class. The test is the pressure cooker that gives the student an opportunity to say, that was a moment at which I changed from that to this. It's an event to mark the passage. But if they weren't ready, the teacher wouldn't or shouldn't have told them they were. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, hey, we got Michael Bowser watching and Robbie Baez watching. That's a good point. So how do we get into that next part of the discussion here? Have you guys out there watching, have you guys heard of instructors telling people that they were ready to test, you know, hey, you're ready, collect their test fees or whatever, even though they're not ready? Let's see some comments. Let's see some comments. So, any callers? And if anyone wants to join this conversation on the phone so you don't have to type, our phone number is 347-677-0699. 347-677-0699. So have you ever seen anyone tell their students they're ready for a rank, took a test fee or whatever, and they weren't ready? And then the test comes and it's obvious that they weren't ready. So let's go from there. I like the birds in the background, Bob. That's a pretty you got pretty birds in the background.
I was gonna say I thought I was muted. I do. I have some lovely birds, lovely scenery. I'm right behind Warner Brothers Ranch right now.
Oh, nice.
It's a beautiful day out here. It was cold this morning for here.
Yeah.
It was 50.
Oh, that is kind of cool for Burbank in spring. But yeah. Yes. Yep. So, you know, the reason why I was like, how do I put this is because, you know, I don't want to bring up the whole McDojo thing again. You know, the black belt mills and stuff like that. But I guess this whole, like, you know, testing people when they aren't ready, you know, can indeed go to that. Now, you know, that I've got a different question that kind of is related to that. So, you know how, like, every art has its own flavor? You know what I'm talking about, Bob? Every art has...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you know how every art has its own flavor and stuff like that? Now, you know, I guess what my question is to people out there is, for those of you that don't bring people in from other arts to sit on your testing judging panel, do you do it because other arts won't understand your art to grade fairly, kind of like at tournaments. You know how like sometimes hard style people at tournaments will not judge a soft stylist very fairly because they're looking for karate movement as opposed to, looking for the flavor of the kung fu movement or tai chi movement or whatever. Are some people out there concerned about that other stylists will not understand their art well enough to judge fairly? And curious, have you been to a test where other stylists are sitting on the panel and that happened, where they didn't grade the student as well as they could have because it didn't match their own art? So that's kind of an interesting thing I'd like to hear from people. Robbie Lee.
I was thinking about that too, because it could be something as simple as doing a split finger strike, and the one artist may say, "Oh, we do it, we do that differently, or we do this, or we do."
Yeah.
That's why we have to throw everything out and judge on the student's ability and listen to what they're being asked.
Yeah.
Even if we have no idea about that art, we should be able to sit on a panel and judge the student based on their ability.
Yeah. Based on ability, not what they can do.
Not on our perception.
Yeah, exactly. Not on what they can do. Because I sat on a panel where, the style, its forward stances are not 90 degrees. Like they would be for wushu and, other styles of kung fu or whatever. They're not 90 degrees. And I knew that, but, I knew that some people, some judges out there would go, oh, it's not a 90 degree forward stance. I'm going to mark it down. And it's kind of like, what? You know what I mean?
But, yeah, Rusty, on the other hand, could we as judges or as panel members judge them unfairly the other way based on their ability, and we think they look phenomenal, and yet the head instructor, like yourself, is going, yeah, but they didn't do this right, or they didn't do that right, and we didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. So we're judging them with a higher score than you are.
Yeah. I think it is possible, just like it would be in tournaments. Me personally, I tend to judge my students at tournaments, very strictly, so for example, if a judge, gives somebody like, I don't know, like a 6.8 or something, let's just say, I might give a 6.5, only because, well, I've seen that form done a little better than today, so I'm going to have to judge it how you did it today. That kind of thing, right? And then people are going, why is she like giving only a 6.5? What's going on, right? Well, that's just based on what I see. And for me personally, I don't want to give too high of a score because, we don't want their ego to get involved, right? But I have to be fair.
Right.
I mean, if they did phenomenal, then I'll score it fairly. But if they did, a little poorly, then I will score it the way that I see it. But I do think it's possible, Bob. That's interesting that the other judges will score a test higher than the instructor. But, at that point, I think the instructor should realize that, the other instructors are not biased. Why did they bring him in the first place, right? I mean, didn't they want non-biased eyes watching? So, in those cases where I bring in other instructors, I have to kind of sit back almost and not necessarily leave it up to them, but to get their views on how they saw the student. And if they said, oh my gosh, that's great, I have to take their art into consideration and stuff like that, and their standing and their ability to understand other martial arts. And if they say they're great, then I'll be like, okay, I might not have seen it, but okay, they met the requirements, not the way I want to see them, but they met the requirements for that particular rank. Robbie Lee writes in and he says, well, my experience usually is it's just more confidence to the student. In the same time, other instructor from other schools, I got to read this a little differently because I don't think I'm putting punctuation in there correctly. Well, my experience usually it's just more confidence to the student. In the same time, other instructors from other schools, maybe not the same art, also being learn what to look for. If I say competition, event, or tournament, what to look for their self-experience and training. Yeah, Heidi Luo is watching. Hi, Heidi. And Robbie also writes, it's my experience through the years and many schools I have talked to. I've done seminars of a similar topic. Every student or senior always has been notified and what the guidelines and qualifications of eligibility are to be able to meet the standard before the test. There is a pre-test done before the actual test, like maybe a month later. That's why through Kelso you would know from the judges, and you're a tractor if you well deserve. But like I said, case by case is different. Voice to text, I know. Anyway, hi Heidi. Let's see here. Anybody? Now, I'm curious, for those of you watching, on an average, how long does it take to get a black belt at your school? So just type in some years over there and what art you do. So just curious, on an average, how long does it take to get a black belt? At my school, it takes anywhere between 5 to 7 years. It just depends on the individual. Sometimes between 5 and 10, because you get people that like leave and come back. One of my guys, gosh, it took him almost like 17 years to get his black belt because he left and came back. Yeah. Eric Dutra writes in, if your non-bias is consistent, the score is all relative. You're scoring based on your point of view consistently. If you score an 8 for a stance on one and 8.5 for one that you think is a better stance, it's consistent with your judgment, aside from what the head instructor is looking for. Exactly. It's just like in tournaments. And that's exactly how Eric described it. Bernard writes in, when I was involved in judo at brown belt level going for first dan, we were on a point system. You required 100 points plus a pass in terminology to get promoted. You win a contest. Seymour. You win a contest, you get 10 points. Win 2 contests, you took a lineup of 3 judoka. Beat all 3 and you made it. John Lupo writes, I would think it would take longer than 5 years to get the black belt. Yep. That's about it. Now, again, there are exceptions to the rule. I've seen people get their black belt in 3. I've seen people get their black belt in 1 year. And it wasn't a McDojo black belt. It was earned, and it just depends on the individual. Now, there's one individual that got his black belt in a year. It was every day. This kid was every day. When I say kid, I don't mean like little kid. I mean like, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, that kind of thing. Every day he was at the dojo. Every freaking day. He got out of school and the dojo was the first place he came to. And this was one of my students. The dojo was the first place he went to. And he didn't go home until like 10. So he'd spend like 5 hours at the studio, and he was the first to get there, and a lot of times he would help me train. We would go jogging together, and we would do forms together. I give him private lessons, and he was a quick study, but not like but not quick, you know what I mean? I mean, he had to earn some of the knowledge because there were a lot of things that he just didn't get, and he just kept practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. The boy was 7 days a week. 7 days a week. Now, on an average, people come to class, 2-3 times a week? on an average, right? For like 2 hours, maybe, right? 3 if you stay for 2 classes. Some people, can get their black belt in a year and earn it. There are exceptions to the rule. Let's see. Bye, Janie. Janie's going to bow out. Eric Dutra says 6 to 8 years, depending on individual commitment. John Lupo said, actually, I should mention that during my search, there was one school I looked into that gave you one chance to get your black belt, and that was it. What? What? They gave you one chance to get your black belt. And what happens if you fail? That's it? That's it? That's all? You don't get to test again? Wow. Wow. Tom goes, every freaking day. John goes, I would think it would take a lot of people to cry bull on someone getting their black belt in a year, no matter how talented that person was. I agree. A lot of people would say, oh, that's bullshit. They can't get their black belt in a year. That kind of thing. But, let's look at the servicemen that got their black belts and came over here, right? I mean, Chuck Norris, right? He, I think he got his black belt within a year. Joe Louis got his black belt within a year, and, we're talking, people that are, some of the greatest names in martial arts history. They got their black belt in a year in the service, like out in Korea or in Okinawa or Japan or whatever. And are people going to say, oh, well, bullshit on them? Probably not. Because, I'm guessing back then in the 60s and stuff like that, if you knew your stuff and you were able to teach it, well, then you were a teacher. But I think, and, you can, I'd like to hear Bob's take on this. I think nowadays people put too big of a value on that first black belt, the Shodan, the first black belt. They're like, oh, I should take you 10 years, to get your black belt and, that kind of thing. And I think people are putting too much of a value on first degree black belts, Shodan. And, if someone gets their black belt in a year, it kind of turns their world upside down on how on a pedestal this rank is. I mean, in a lot of places, even in Japan, you get Shodan, first degree black belt, about a year. You're still a peon. You're not a master or anything like that. You are a peon, low ranking black belt. But can you get your black belt in a year in some styles? In Japan, yes, you can. And are people gonna poo poo them? So what are your thoughts on that, Bob? Getting, black belt in a year, no matter how talented they are, people crying bullshit on it.
Well, if they're that talented and they're there every year or every day for several hours, not one class, if they're there and they're helping the instructor and they're doing privates and they're talented enough and can prove themselves, why not?
Yeah. Robbie wrote in Mike Stone. Mike Stone got his black belt within a year? Was it? I'm not familiar with Mike Stone's lineage or background. I mean, I know who he is. I've known who he is, since the 70s and 80s. It's just that I don't know where he got his black belt. Well, let's find out. That's what the internet's for, right?
Exactly.
Mike Stone Karate. Let's see. Yeah, he was one of the names when I was growing up. He began studying Shorin Ryu Karate, earning his black belt in only 6 months under Herbert Peters while stationed at Fort Chaffee in Arkansas. Well known for his karate tournament success in the 60s, Stone was known for his aggressiveness, earning the nickname The Animal, and would amass a record of 91 consecutive wins. So there you go. 6 months, folks. 6 months. And nobody, would challenge him on that. So there you go. Shorin Ryu. Now, John Lupo writes, if the black belt really meant you were a master or anything like that, then those guys in Fists of Fury would have lasted a lot longer against Bruce Lee. That's true. That's true. That's true. So, yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? But what are your guys' thoughts out there about people that gain a black belt within a year? I'm curious. We're kind of veering off of the test requirement type of thing, but not. Now, here's the thing, though. If the test requirements are met, does someone have to go through, let's just say 3 years. Let's just say 3 years on an average. Does someone have to go through that 3 years, even if they attend classes every day, practice on any free time that they have, stuff like that? Does that make that black belt skill any less or not? I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say out there. So, yeah, why not? Anyway, our phone number here, if you guys want to talk to us, is 347-677-0699. So let's see here. Okay, let's talk about black belt tests since we're talking about that. So, I know I've gone through grueling tests. I know Bob's gone through grueling tests. Many people have gone through grueling black belt tests. But does your test have to be something that sounds like it should be in a coming of age movie? Like a Native American, you have to go out into the woods and survive on your own for 4 days and do your vision quest and stuff like that. Does it have to be anything like that? Does it have to be grueling physical effort, or is it more of a mental one? Or do you think that people that don't injure themselves at a test are less than or wimpy than other people that break their arm during a black belt test? Let's hear from you guys. Let's hear from you guys. Let's see here. Tom Dwyer writes in. I love you, Tom. Tom Dwyer writes in, and he says, I could listen to Rosita talk about any subject, right? Hit the like and love buttons, then hit share. There you go. If you like what you're hearing, folks, what me and Bob are talking about, if you like the subject, if you like the show, go ahead and hit the like button, hit those love buttons. That didn't sound right. Hit those like buttons, folks. Hit them. Let's see some stuff going across the screen here. And share. Like I said earlier, Bob and I would love to see this sense of community go all around the world. We already have people from the UK watching. We've had people from, I think we had somebody from Germany watching at one time. We want to get that. We want to get this all the way around. So anyway, hit those share buttons, folks. John Lupo writes, unless you attend one of those schools where all the students advance as a unit rather than individuals. Oh, right. Yeah, I hear you. But that's no fun if everyone gets their orange belt at the same time. If everyone gets their, purple belt at the same time, then all of a sudden you've got like a bunch of black belts at the end of 3, 5, 8 years and no color ranks or whatever. Well, I guess you do. You just end up with a whole shit ton of black belts all at once. Bernard Witcher says, don't know what year I started. I started in 1950 and he's still hacking away. There you go. We've got some likes. We got some loves. That's awesome. And Tom goes, break their arms. John Lupo writes, I guess you could imagine that some Western martial arts instructors would conduct a black belt test as they interpret it should be done in the country of origin. Ooh, that's a good point. Maybe, do you think that, people out here in America are doing tests the way that they think it should be done in China or Japan or Philippines or Indonesia or something like that? That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I look at it this way, you know, and this could, you know, end up with, you know, being a can of worms. But unless you've been taught by, you know, a Japanese or Okinawan person in karate or whatever, and actually have traveled to Japan or Okinawa or where have you to, you know, to study, or in the case of, like, you know, in my case, Tai Chi, you know, unless you've traveled to China, you know, to see how things are done there and to see how testing is right there in that country of origin, you know, can you really say that you're conducting a test in the way that it's done in the country of origin? Or are we just guessing, trying to see how exotic we can make it for our own schools? What do you guys think? What do you think about that, Bob? Where'd Bob go? Did I lose Bob?
You know.
Oh, there we go.
I've been taught by. I don't think I've ever been taught by an instructor that actually learned from the country of origin. He's been taught by people who have learned from the country of origin. I think, especially when you're dealing with Caucasians, I don't think anything's taught from the country of origin. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's watered down for the general public, and I think that's how testing is as well.
John writes, because he's kind of adding on to his previous comment. He goes, you know, you hear about someone saying how martial arts in America is inferior to a martial artist from Europe or Asia. Yeah, I've heard some people say that. It's funny though, because the people that I've heard say that, oh, you know, martial arts in America is inferior to, you know, martial artists in Europe or Asia, have never been to Europe or Asia. You know, I read comments from people, you know, yes, I get on YouTube for entertainment. I read comments and people are like talking like they're experts, but they'll admit that they've never been out of the country. So it's kind of like, well then, you know, they're just basing their opinion on what they see on YouTube, which is, you know, unfortunate. But, anyway, we have about 5 minutes to our broadcast. I don't know where all the time went. I have no idea where the time went. Now, out there, do you guys charge a fee for testing at your dojo? And if so, what elements justify your fee? And it's, you know, it's okay if you do or you don't. It doesn't matter. I'm just curious if you guys charge a fee. And what are your thoughts about frequent testing? Like, you know, some schools will test once a month. And, you know, I get it, you know, for once a month. If you have stripes and you have kids, okay, once a month if they earn this, this, and this, and this, and this, and it's a legitimate earning of this and this and this and this. That's, you know, that's what I do. But I only test like every 2 months or every 3 months. And then I base the stripes based on what they know rather than, you know, sequential. So, you know, if someone got their first stripe on their white belt and they learned within that 3 months and they learned all the requirements for yellow belt, I'm not going to give them just another stripe on their white belt, right? If it's three or 4 months in between, I'm going to test them for yellow belt. So anyway, I'm just kind of curious as to what you guys do. John writes, honestly, I believe every student is different, learns differently, has different physical needs, may need more encouragement or need you to be tough on them. A good instructor knows how to bring that person to that level. That's right. Eric Dutra says, you know, I really don't think it's inferior, just different. As far as people who don't injure themselves or what have you. I think that's the question he's answering. Matt Stone says, having served in the Army and having seen what martial arts classes are like on military bases overseas, Korea and Japan alike, at least while I was stationed there in Korea between 1989 and 1990 and 2005 to 2006, Japan, let's see here, Japan between 1999 and 2002, what the military allows to be taught on post is usually not what civilians get told. Former military personnel
90 seconds.
Former military personnel that become martial arts teachers like to pump up how tough their training might have been, but it's seldom quite what they claim it was. Cecil Peoples is watching. Hi, Cecil. Eric Dutra writes, tests happen whenever, since they think someone is ready. No set time, all individual readiness. Amen. Well, very good. Very good. You know, we are out of time.
60 seconds.
Whatever. And we're going to go like a minute over time, whatever. But I want to get some thoughts on Bob on this whole subject as a whole, about testing, about requirements and the gruelingness of it. I just made a new word, Bob.
You did.
I did. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I love this subject. I want to know what everybody's thinking, the different test requirements and how they take it to the next level.
Right.
And about bringing in other instructors from other styles on board reviews and so forth. I think this is a subject I don't think we've just touched on it, but never had a whole show dedicated to it. It was great. A great discussion.
10 seconds.
I love this discussion because, it's the martial arts is always, going through phases of renaissance, right? I mean, when MMA came in, it like completely blew the lid out of the water in the martial arts, some for a good way, some in a bad way. You had traditionalists going, oh my God, they're not learning, they're not learning everything of one art, blah, 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 jack of all trades, master of none. And then, on the other hand, you had some MMA players going, that traditional shit ain't gonna work and blah, blah, blah. But, that was part of the Renaissance. And I think I can almost feel, another Renaissance coming along. I don't know where it's going, because MMA has been around long enough to be, kind of like, to kind of be a household word. You know what I mean? So, right. I can feel a lot more practitioners out there, bringing their own methods to light and bringing new, fresh ideas and philosophies and stuff like that. Like Jeff Jeds is one of them. He's got the Jedokan martial arts. It's and this type of renaissance is what I feel allows martial arts to grow and allows it to evolve. Now, I'm an old school person through and through. I love traditional karate. I love the koryu bujutsu. I love, aikido. I love, old school jiu-jitsu, judo. I love learning about all that kind of stuff. But on the same token is, I guess the question is there a way to evolve, the attitudes of, traditionalist versus, modernist, without sacrificing the benefits of tradition? Oh, that might be another show. Anyway, we're going to be signing out here in a second. I just want to put a shout out there to Bernard. He's whoops, boy, that's loud. He's like, I need food. I've been here for 2,000 hours. Been most interesting. Wishing everyone a very good night. Good night, Bob. Good night, Rusty. Good night, Bernard. John Lupo writes, the military would probably train you with the moves they know would work the best for a combat situation. Eric Dutra writes, you're all awesome. I learned so much from everyone from this show. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, Eric, I started that project. You know what I'm talking about. Brian Sager is watching. Sorry you came late, buddy. Sorry, Brian. We're signing off right now. John writes, one of the hardest things for me is the fact that I have pretty much a dead set focus on learning karate. Most people can brush it aside and say, you should do this or you should do that. No. Don't listen to anyone, John. You do what you want. You do what floats your boat. Everyone gets attracted to certain martial arts and martial arts in general for different reasons. So, for someone that says you should do MMA, it's best for the ring, or it's best for self-defense, do what you want. Because, why they joined is not the reason why you should join martial arts. So, Tom goes, no, it's over. Yeah, sorry, everyone. Hit those likes. Share this video because it's going to be recorded for Facebook posterity. So, next weekend, there will not be a regular show because Bob and I are going to be at the Martial Arts History Museum Telethon in Burbank, California. So, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, next weekend, look on my page and look on the Dynamic Dojo Facebook page and Robert Deal's page for live coverage of the Martial Arts History Museum Telethon. We're going to have all sorts of great guests and interviews and entertainment. You guys are going to have a great time. Spend the weekend with us. Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio. I'm Rusty, and I'm pointing over at Bob, and that's Bob, and this is Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio. We're out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yay. Bye. I think. Let's just do one more of these outro musics. Why not? Actually, you know what? Let's do a different song out of here. Let's see if I can find one. What's this?
Dumbass!
It just says DMB. So I looked at that as drum and bass. No? That is not drum and bass. Holy crap. Oh, that was hilarious. All right, well, we're going to do the outro again. Outro. All right. Bye, everybody. I'm losing my headphones, too. Oh, my gosh. Losing headphones. That's hilarious. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Bye, everybody.